The path to understanding the truth of life is often labyrinthine and perplexing, a journey into the depths of the unconscious mind. Every person's experience is unique, yet isn't it true that all of us are seeking a deeper meaning in our existence? We strive for external accomplishments, material possessions, emotional satisfaction, spiritual enlightenment. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is it all for? What is the true purpose of life? Do we truly understand who we are and what our place is in the cosmos? These were the very questions that Carl Jung not only explored through his intellectual pursuits, but also through his lived experience. Jung's life was a profound and continuous journey toward discovering the deepest layers of the self. He revealed that the truth of life is not something external, hidden in religious dogma or philosophical texts, but something intrinsic, residing deep within our own unconscious. The answers, according to Jung, lie within the self, a concept central to his work. As Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This is a call to individuate, to realize the self beyond the surface, the persona we show to the world. Jung believed that the journey to the truth involves uncovering the hidden dimensions of our psyche, including both the conscious and unconscious. It is through this process that we come to understand the essence of who we truly are. The self, the journey within. For Jung, self-knowledge was the key to understanding not just oneself, but the entire universe. Know thyself, the ancient maxim, was the very foundation of Jung's therapeutic philosophy, but he elaborated on it by suggesting that self-knowledge doesn't just come from the conscious mind. It involves uncovering the unconscious. It's only by exploring the unconscious, which holds not just repressed memories, but also the archetypes and latent potentials within us, that we can begin to grasp the self. Jung was adamant that the journey of individuation, the process of becoming one's true self, was necessary for any meaningful exploration of truth. As he famously put it, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. He was referring to the shadow, the hidden or suppressed part of the psyche. It is this darkness that holds the key to our true nature. Jung saw the shadow as something that all individuals must confront. If we fail to recognize it, it influences us in unconscious ways, leading to distortions in our perception of reality. The integration of the shadow, of accepting our unconscious drives and elements, is crucial to becoming whole. Without confronting this darkness, we can never truly understand ourselves or the world around us. The mind and consciousness, a vast landscape. Jung viewed the mind as a complex structure composed of both the conscious and unconscious. The conscious mind, which makes decisions and navigates our daily lives, is only a small part of our true nature. The unconscious, with its vast array of archetypes, symbols, and memories, contains a treasure trove of information about the human experience. Jung believed that the unconscious is not just a dark abyss, but a creative and generative force. He said, "The unconscious is not just a repository of repressed thoughts. It is the source of creativity, vitality, and potential." This creative force is what drives us to uncover our true self, but it requires that we let go of the control of the ego. For Jung, the journey toward the truth was not a matter of accumulating more knowledge, but of achieving a deeper consciousness, of connecting with the unconscious through dreams, symbols, and active imagination. He believed that by bringing unconscious content into consciousness, we could heal the splits within ourselves and become whole. Breaking down social and cultural barriers, the shadow of society. One of Jung's most profound teachings was the necessity of recognizing the social masks or personas that we wear. Society and culture, Jung believed, create a false sense of identity. We become attached to roles that are dictated by the external world, roles as students, workers, parents, etc. But these are not the true self. Jung stated, The persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is. In other words, society shapes our identities in ways that may be inauthentic or out of touch with our true being. Only by recognizing and shedding these personas can we begin to understand who we truly are. Furthermore, Jung was critical of how social conventions and expectations stifle the individual. Society, he believed, imposes its rules on the psyche, shaping our desires, fears, and thoughts into predefined molds. But the true self cannot be fully understood if we are constantly adhering to these external pressures. The spiritual journey, exploring the archetypes of the unconscious. Carl Jung was deeply interested in the spiritual dimensions of life, which he saw as intricately connected to the unconscious mind. He didn't view spirituality as something separate from psychology. Rather, he believed that spirituality was a direct expression of the self. Jung's concept of archetypes, universal symbols that reside in the collective unconscious, reveals how spirituality and the unconscious are interwoven. Jung's own exploration of spirituality was rooted in his belief in the self as the central archetype. The self, according to Jung, is the totality of the psyche. It contains both the conscious and unconscious elements, and it is the goal of individuation to integrate these parts. The experience of the self is what Carl Jung referred to as wholeness or completeness. This is the ultimate spiritual realization, which transcends the fragmented self and leads to a higher state of consciousness. Jung also wrote extensively about God as an archetype within the unconscious. He viewed the image of God not as an external being, but as a psychological phenomenon that emerges from the depths of the unconscious. God is not a being, but a state of the psyche. This archetype represents a person's connection to something transcendent, something that is deeply embedded in the collective unconscious and is manifested through various symbols and myths. Life and death, embracing the unknown. For Jung, life and death were two aspects of the same reality, inseparable in their meaning. He believed that only by confronting the shadow of death could we truly begin to live. Jung argued that the fear of death is often rooted in the ego's attachment to the persona, the false identity we construct in order to feel safe. Death is not the opposite of life, but a part of it. This is the Jungian way of understanding the cycle of life. Death is not an end, but a transformation. It is only by facing death, and by embracing the unconscious elements associated with it, that we can fully live in the present. When we come to terms with death, we shed our fears and attachments, and we begin to experience life with a profound sense of freedom. The unending journey, a continuous process of becoming. Carl Jung's view of life was not that of a journey that ends with a fixed destination, but one that is always unfolding. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. This idea of becoming, of continually transforming, is at the core of Jung's philosophy. He viewed the process of individuation as a lifelong journey, an ongoing effort to integrate all aspects of the psyche into a cohesive whole. The journey toward the truth of life, according to Jung, is not linear. It's a spiral of growth, where every experience is an opportunity for further self-discovery. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. To truly understand life, one must face the paradox of both light and darkness within the self. This journey of transformation is where one uncovers the deep truths that lie within. The end as a new beginning. Jung's concept of the end was not a cessation, but a continuation, a metamorphosis into something greater. The end of one's psychological journey is not a state of static being, but an eternal unfolding of the self. The journey is the goal, Jung said, underscoring the importance of the process over the destination. As we continually evolve, we come closer to experiencing the truth that resides deep within us. In the end, it is not about reaching a final destination, but about the continual unfolding of the self. When we embrace this journey, we embrace both life and death, the known and the unknown. We experience life in its fullest sense, not as a series of events, but as a constant becoming. This journey, for Jung, was not about understanding the truth from an intellectual standpoint. It was about experiencing it, the truth that is hidden deep in the unconscious, waiting to be discovered through individuation. Through this process, we become more aligned with the deeper aspects of our psyche and approach a state of wholeness that transcends the ego's limitations. It is in this continuous process of self-discovery that we reach the truth of life,